unless we get these hate crimes up, we are out of a job. No more matcha lattes. Is this getting through to you?
If there's not enough racism, what if we made racism?
That's it.
I just want to make sure I understand. You're alleging that the Southern Poverty Law Center was paying the leaders of KKK and other groups to continue their operations? Is that?
I'm not alleging it. The grand jury returned an indictment that says that. And so what the investigation found, according to the indictment that was returned today, is that they were paying. So Southern Poverty Law Center is raising money, asking folks to give them money to dismantle racism. And over a very long period of time, they were using some of the money they raised from donors to pay to, they call them field, basically to informants, for information, for access, to just pay them for certain, to do certain things. And so, yes, that's exactly what the indictment charges.
I've been on there 32 years, and my wheelhouse has been the Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL running the KKK, the Aryan Nations, all of them. It's come out. They got caught in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s doing it. It is well documented.
It's the biggest grift in at least modern American history, cutting into the literal DNA of these United States. On April 21st, 2026, a federal grand jury in Montgomery, Alabama, hit the Southern Poverty Law Center with an 11-count indictment, 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of false statements to a federally insured bank, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering.
They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front.
One SPLC field source was even a member of the online leadership chat group that planned the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, making racist postings under SPLC supervision and helping coordinate transportation to the event. This is the very definition of a false flag setup on a massive scale. As this debacle unfolds, we're seeing the full picture of a vast conspiracy aimed at falsely labeling white men as the most violent racist threat to the country, a narrative that continues to drive the Democratic Party.
Close your eyes. Remember what you saw on television. Remember seeing those neo-Nazis and Klansmen and white supremacists coming out of fields with lighted torches. And remember what the president said when asked?
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
Their veins bulging.
He said specifically that he was condemning them.
He did not. He said he walked out and he said, let's get this straight. The veins bulging on their, as they were screaming. Remember, just close your eyes and picture what it was. Their veins bulging. Their veins bulging. Nazi sympathizers carrying Nazi fags. Veins bulging.
Now, in other times, Democrats and Republicans alike would rely on the Southern Poverty Law Center to help us keep track of the movements of violent white supremacy in the country. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been a vigilant voice in civil society against radical white nationalist violence and extremism, neo-Nazism, and other forces across the political spectrum that spread organized hate from any quarter. The president, however, wants to undermine civil society organizations and to reduce our ability to defend ourselves against the virus of racial violence.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Racism is evil.
Damn it.
And those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK. neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as America.
Not to mention fudged nationwide arrest data that mislabeled black and brown suspects as white, and major cities conveniently stopping crime reporting to the FBI after Biden took office. For years, the SPLC sat on the safety teams of Facebook, old Twitter, and YouTube, directly advising on what content to demonetize, restrict, or nuke entirely. They choked out dissenting voices during the height of big tech censorship, manufactured Gamergate as male supremacy, labeled conservative Christians and parental rights groups as hate groups, and relentlessly targeted Alex Jones and InfoWars, which resulted in the Truth Organization being put under surveillance by the FBI.
Charlottesville was mainly a bunch of homosexual leftists dressing up like Nazis who'd all formerly worked for Obama or Hillary, part of their art club. And then they lured a bunch of reporters there and some real white supremacists so the police could stand down and collide them into the folks. I pointed out that some of the same leftist foundations are funding the white supremacists that are funding real white supremacists in Ukraine. I got sued for that, even though it's, they tried to say that I said some cameraman killed the girl. I didn't say that the cameraman killed them. I said it was all part of leftists coming out to come to this big event and hope there was some big crisis out of it to demonize the right in general and tie us to Nazis.
The SPLC branded Jones a top anti-government extremist, feeding tech giants the ammunition they needed to ban InfoWars across multiple platforms in 2018 and wipe out his reach overnight. 4 months before Charlie Kirk was murdered, the SPLC placed Turning Point USA on their hate map right next to the KKK and neo-Nazis. On top of it all, this so-called poverty nonprofit sits on a near billion-dollar war chest stashed in global tax havens. The SPLC is denying everything and crying political weaponization, but the black and white evidence is in the indictment. The American people deserve better than being played for suckers by professional fearmongers. The entire country should sue. John Bound reporting for InfoWars.
All right, here we are. All right, welcome to the show. It's what is it? It's Friday, April 24th, 2026. Thank you for being here. God, what a mess we are in. We keep ourselves in one hell of a mess, don't we? You agree? Thank you for being here. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel, whether you're on whatever platform you're on. We're on YouTube and Getter and Rumble and X and Kick and Twitch. They haven't taken us down, so we're just going to keep rolling with it. Thank you for being here. Little programming note. We'll be doing a show tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. We're going to start doing more shows more often and getting into all this stuff going on. We have a very interesting show tonight. Let me give you a little heads up what we're going to cover. Some geopolitics. We're going to get into the Iran war. We're going to get into the Charlie Kirk saga, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We're going to get into what people are saying. We're going to get into this SPLC, which is Southern Poverty Law Center. We're going to get into that for sure, like we just did there in that John Bound report clip. And we're going to talk about Epstein files. We have a big show tonight. We're going to talk about David Wilcock and the 12 scientists, UAP scientists, gravity, all the different types of scientists about the unidentified person, object. We're going to get into that and how fishy it's gotten and how really it is. Because, like 3 or 4 days ago, he was, David Wilcock was on his show talking about he was concerned that his life had been scrambled He didn't come right out and say it, but he's been super sick. He just came out a couple days ago and said that he wouldn't commit suicide. That he's a very God conscious prayer, scripture, all that stuff, and they're saying he committed suicide. So, and I probably get nuked for saying that, I think, on YouTube, but hey, we're just telling the truth, and allegedly, we'll say allegedly, um, he didn't kill himself. Allegedly, he did kill himself. Allegedly. Okay, we got to say that so that way the censors can um, put their switch back in their pocket. So, where are we? Oh, we have other things too, I'm sure. We're gonna get into some black magic stuff that goes with that. We're gonna cover. We're gonna go into detail about it. The satanic cultism. We got a big show, and I'm gonna do my best to hit as much of it as I can. Whatever I don't get in a couple hours of the programming, then we'll finish it tomorrow. We're gonna back off the 3-4 hour shows for now, and we'll do a couple hours, get as much of it handled as we can. I have some big topics that I want to cover, like the Wilcock one is huge because what they're doing. So it's some kind of a cover up. Obviously, allegedly, there's a big cover up going on with this. The what do the UAP unidentified, what they call unidentified. They've changed the name from alien to unidentified person or something like that. So anyway, this is big, and had he not been vocal over the last bunch of years with his, because he had a YouTube channel, then I would say that maybe anything's possible. But with this one, they it's like everything. They killed Charlie Kirk, broad daylight. Said that some patsy did it. They won't even release the evidence that they have or don't have for the defense. For Tyler Robinson's defense to be able to defend him. Lot going on. So this is what they do. They just do this stuff, and then you got Southern Property Law Center caught with the hand in the cookie jar. Then you got, let's not forget the Onion all over the internet talking about how that they've taken over InfoWars and they're in the building, and basically saying that Alex Jones works for them. They own his name, they want in his skin, all that stuff. To top it all off, we have that, and we'll be getting more into that tomorrow. I guess next Thursday is going to be Alex Jones InfoWars' last day in that building, and then they're going to go to the new building that apparently is not owned by him, and all that stuff. So we're going to get into some of this stuff tonight. We're going to do the best we can to get through as much of it as we can. I want to say that there's stuff going on that is very, how do I put it, over my head. So I'm gonna do the best I can with some of this stuff, but think about it. President Trump gets talked into a war with Iran. Basically they're gonna blow the world up if we don't go in and take away their equipment for building a nuclear weapon. So they go in June, they blow them up. B-2 bombers did the whole thing, and the specialist or the people with the experience with these types of operations knew that it wouldn't be long before they'd be wanting to go back in again. And then what happens? Netanyahu, I'm just giving you the timeline. Netanyahu shows up at the White House, and then every time Netanyahu shows up at the White House, within days, they're either bombing or threatening or doing something to Iran. And so what happens on his 7th trip to the White House is a day or two later, they start bombing Iran. And he thought, that he was told, by his great advisors over there in the White House that, and, I'm sure Netanyahu as well, that it was going to be a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, couple days in and out, just like, the conflict that went down in Venezuela. It was going to be quick and easy and over, and they pulled the wool over his eyes. They lied to him. And then what I see, amongst other things, is his ego got engaged because, Trump has a hard time with having a bruised ego. We know this. We've seen it for years and years and years. And so now we're in a war, 55 days, I think it is today, something like that. 55 days in this not a war scenario. I think their time's up. They have to wrap it up within 30 days. I think of today, I think it is something like that. Some otherwise they have to get approval from Congress to turn it into an actual war, that they're not in a war, because even though they're blowing shit up over there and going back and forth and, having, these talks about ceasefire and all that stuff, it's not a war. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Anyway, so here we are in the Iran war. While that's going on, there's a couple good things going on. There's like Tulsi Gabbard is like hammering down on this on the Russia hoax ordeal and the illegal election fraud and all that stuff. All that goes together, and then you got J6 going on. I mean, you got one situation after the other situation after the other situation of lies. All they do is they tell you another lie to manufacture another lie to manufacture another lie I mean, it's just what they do. That's where they're at. That's what they just keep doing. Look at what they've done with January 6th and the pipe bomb. That kid isn't capable of what they said that he did. And they've proven that he was not in the area, and they've proven that it was actually someone else that put those bombs down, those fake bombs at the DNC and the RNC. They've already proved it, and then retracted their statement because of lawsuits. Because the government will just lawsuit you to death or arrest you or have you killed. We know this. So, Steve Baker had to recant his statement or his, reporting, and then left the blaze, and then said, no, I'm going to bring this back up. And it really did happen. So now now there's this whole thing where they know that this CIA / Capitol Police officer, her name's escaping me right now, was actually the one that, allegedly that placed the pipe bombs for some sort of, maybe, what do you call it? Training exercise, right? CIA or Capitol Police or whatever. Anyway, she was a Capitol Police officer. And then right after January 6th, she goes to the CIA and gets promoted to CIA, and now she's working for CIA. That's just the timeline of the things that's going on. And, very well possibly that she was being told that, this is a training exercise. You're going to, we're going to, see how good the bomb dogs are, whatever the training exercise is. And she ended up in the middle of a sting or a false flag or whatever we want to call it. This is what happens here in all these governments. I thought Trump's government was going to be different. I really did. I I really, really did. I thought that Trump's government was going to be the clean house government. And at first it was. And you know what? I might wake up tomorrow morning. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm going to look at the headlines and it's going to be Donald Trump pulled the covers off of all this corruption and he arrested 150 people, 200 people, and they're all in handcuffs. They're all in jail and they're all being, read their rights and all the corruption just got ended right now in a minute. That's what's going to happen tomorrow. I just know it, right? Yeah, it's like one of my dreams that would happen. But very disappointed, very, very, very disappointed, and all of the America First patriots that the Trump supporters that have any brain cell left feel the same way I do about it. The Iran war, the no arrest, the illegal spying on American citizens, just all the stuff. I mean, we got a ton of stuff we're going to get into tonight around spying on. It's the same old thing, different label. It's still the government that does the same thing that the last administration and the one before that did, and the one before that did, and the one before that. And you would think that it would be a new administration, a Republican administration that wants the American people to have freedom and prosperity and no corruption. And we see where we're at. And, again, I'm wake up tomorrow and it'll all be different. Let me run this clip real quick for you.
On Friday morning, while we were all snug in our beds, 2:09 a.m., Congress decided they were going to work for once. And they held a secret vote because Americans were giving them such crap about spying on them without a warrant. They were like, well, let's do it when they're sleeping and then we can just pass it. And they're so dumb, they won't know. Thank goodness for the 12 Republicans who crossed the line to say, nope, we're not doing it. They saved us. They're the real patriots. 197 of our congressmen decided that, yes, we want to continue spying on Americans without warrants. 194 of them were Republicans. 4 of them were Democrats. 1 of them are independent. I spent the entire weekend going down rabbit holes and deep dives on them. And these guys are criminals. This is what I was able to find out with open source information. Can you imagine if I had your texts and your phone calls? Traitors. We're voting all of them out because all of them are up for re-election. First of all, before people are like, it doesn't really matter if they're spying on us already. No. FISA 702 collects all of the data. It's not just data points. It's your text, phone calls, emails, everything. And we use it against foreign assets. That's the goal. It's what Snowden exposed. Problem is, as Snowden exposed, in that you scoop up American data and you parse it out and you get a FISA warrant if you want to access anyone's data. Well, what they passed 2 years ago was no, you don't need a warrant even for American data. And the problem with that is that confirmation bias is real. So they're using it against journalists, against people who speak out, protesters. And they're saying, no, we can arrest you. And then they listen to their phone calls and texts. And that shouldn't happen. You should have a warrant in order to do that. Otherwise, that's the last step in losing our freedom of speech, if you think about it. So I started a deep dive on the 197. I did an initial scan to see who's who in the zoo, and then started to bucket them so that I could make sense of this and do deep dives on the people. I've done 25 so far. If you want to see them, go to my Substack. Details are there. It's free. But I'm going to run through some of the highlights because it's very disturbing, and I find it very effing ironic that these guys want to spy on us. Meanwhile, we've got real criminals up in our Congress. So I'm about to expose you all. Of the 25 that I looked at, they take over $20 million in pro-blue and white country donor money and lobby money. And that's just what we know about. They get around it through dark PACs. They get around it through individual contributions. If you see a senator or a congressman with a lot of retired funding, well, you can be pretty damn sure that they're being funded by a country. And that's how they're getting around it. So I'm going to put that number at 4 times that. I'm going to put it at 80 to $100 million that these guys have taken from the blue and white country. I'm going to start with Brian Mass. He is a rep from Florida, 21st district. He's taken 2.2 million in pro blue and white country donor and lobby money that we know of. He wore his IDF uniform because he was in the IDF on the House floor when October 7th happened. He also runs the committee that's in charge of the FISA. How convenient. You got to go, Florida. You got to get this asshole out. I don't care who you vote in. An alien, I don't care. This man stated that he did not believe there were any innocent Palestinian people. What? You're a fucking loser. All right, Tennessee, you're going to love this one. We have Scott Desjarlais up next. I don't know how to say his last name, nor do I care because he's trash. He was a doctor who had affairs with at least 2 of his patients, prescribed one of them drugs. He had a mistress who he got pregnant and then made her get an abortion. This is all like alleged / I do not think some of it's alleged, but we're going with alleged. But he campaigned on being pro-life. Somehow he's like, yeah, it's a great idea to spy on Americans. Bro, unleash me. He'd probably be in prison. If Corey Mills from Florida, he has a few sexual abuse allegations. He's also been rumored to have stolen valor. So that's fun. We're so lucky to have these guys in Congress representing us. And not only that, we are so lucky that they think that they can spy on us and that that's okay. We have a rep from California, I think Issa it is. He has car theft and arson and he was arrested. He's one of the richest members of Congress. You can't make this shit up. There's so much. Again, go to my Substack. It is all there. Stay tuned.
Yeah, the Leah Files on Substack. If you want to see her writings, and she is on point for sure. The Leah Files. She is definitely got her feelers out for all this stuff, and she does great reporting too, by the way. So again, sorry, apologize. I want to that we can reach more people. Now, to shift the gears a little bit, did you know that when we're going to cover a bunch of topics tonight, but when the tariffs, when they signed those executive orders for the tariffs, Lutnick did the tariff one for, because he's supposed to be the advisor, whatever his title is. I'm not really sure what the exact title is. Howard Lutnick, the pedo dude, he wrote it so that when it failed, or when it was written wrong and it failed, and then he put a bunch of money against it, he made billions of dollars, or his kids made billions of dollars. I don't know if you know this or not, but remember the tariff thing was going to be the reason why we were not going to have the IRS anymore, and our taxes were going to be gone or down, and the cost of living was going to go down and gone because we were going to get all these tariffs from all these other countries. Now we owe billions of dollars to foreign countries because of the tariffs that we took in from all these different countries. This is really what's going on here. So listen, check this out. This is the thing. There's so much stuff going on that they keep us covered up with. Iran war, they keep us out of the information, because what they do is when something like this comes, it was reported on, but when it was reported on, the Epstein files covered it up, or some other headline that was, that everybody would focus on, covered up all these little tiny things that are going on. And like the 12 scientists that are just missing or dead. I mean, this stuff just gets covered up, and it's the journalists, the independent media is the only reason why you know anything about anything, because we're the only ones talking about it. Mainstream media does not cover any of this stuff, obviously, right? They just say, oh yeah, David Wilcock, he committed suicide. That's what they say, right? Well, we know better than that. We're going to show you later. Anyway, stand by. And by. Let's run this.
Remember Howard Lutnick? Turned out his son's company he signed over to him when he went into office bought up all of anybody that would sell of the insurance, Counter Fitzgerald, all of the insurance on companies that had insurance on tariffs, that if the tariffs got reversed, they would get paid back for the cost. And they bought it about 25% on the dollar. Lutnick said, no, this will never be overturned. They believed it, so they sold it to him for 25 cents on the dollar on average. And then Lutnick, even the Supreme Court justice admitted, wrote the tariff wrong. Of course, it sent Trump a letter saying if this had been changed, it was constitutional, but the way the executive orders and things were written, this is the problem. Lutnick knew that. Lutnick sabotaged the tariffs, and now he's going to get tens of billions of dollars. Trump administration to begin refunding $166 billion in tariffs.
What do you think of that? Now that is wild. So it buys up all the insurance for 25 cents on the dollar, or 20 cents on the dollar, or 20, figure speech. And then it fails, and then they make billions of dollars. I mean, sounds like insider trading to me, but what do I know? I don't know much. I'm just a dipshit over here. On a microphone, doing research till my eyes bleed. So anyway, yeah. So how about this? How about this one for you? Here's another good one. The House of Representatives have passed the Save America Act like 2 or 3 times, but if for some reason it ends up back at the House, not passed by the Senate. They want you to add transgender surgery or some bullshit in there. That's the only, they just keep rejecting it because they want to put their own, pork in there. And so it keeps coming back. Listen to what Tim Burchett talked about a couple days ago when, when he was, talking about the Save America Act and this kind of stuff. You have a couple Congress people, a couple that are good, and the rest of them suck. So we know why Marjorie Taylor Greene left and all these other Congress people left that were, at least halfway decent. They're fighting against, fighting against fucking wolves, man. You know what I mean? So anyway, stand by.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. People are asking me about what's going on with the Save America Act. Well, the Senate, of course, is dragging their feet. The House has passed it twice. I've got a sneaking suspicion that they'll probably attempt to pass it or pass it so late in the dadgum game that it can't get implemented. And then they can go home and say, oh, look, we passed it. And everybody will be celebrating, patting them on the back. And then it just cannot get implemented at the state and local level in time for it to have any effect in these elections. And ultimately, I think that's what you've got. And I'm afraid in the Senate leadership, they have such a hatred of Trump and the conservative movement. They want things to go back to the status quo, which is them being called from the golf course by the Democrats when it's time to make a vote. And they do the obligatory, oh, we don't like what they're doing. And they get their crumbs off the side of the table and for their districts, and they go home and get reelected. And I'm afraid that's exactly what they're up to. And it's disgusting. And at some point, we're going to say enough is enough. And we're going to start electing people with some guts that are going to do something, aren't just going to sit around. America's tired of hearings. They're tired of pontificating. They're tired of being talked down to. So there's an issue that's across the board, something like 80% approval, and yet you can't even get it to a vote in the Senate. I just don't buy it, folks. Anyway, let's keep fighting. Let's pray for our country. Thank y'all for sending me here.
Yeah, so again, Save America Act is a super simple bill. It's to demand voter ID to vote. It's super simple. But because both sides have to have the illegal vote to get in office, Lindsey Graham. You think people have voted for Lindsey Graham in the last 10, 12, 15 years? Probably not, right? Probably not. But he gets all the AIPAC money, and he's got the what's it called? The weapons thing, industrial complex, whatever it's called, that pay him to make sure that war stays going, right? Nobody's liked Lindsey Graham for years. Trump does because, I don't know what they got going on, but I think that's another thing that's very interesting, that Trump doesn't see the people that he's endorsing nowadays are rhinos and scumbags. And it's starting to show in the polls for sure. It's really showing in the polls. Matter of fact, Julian Dory was talking to Metzler last week or something, and I ran across a couple clips of him. I'm gonna play these two back to back because I think they're very, very telling of where we are as a country right now, where people that were supporters of Trump interviewed Trump during his 24 election and was really doing everything they could to help Trump get across the finish line has all went to this dude is not what we voted for. So anyway, let's run.
And it hasn't happened. And also, this started under the guise, Deef, and I'm going to say it like that, under the guise of we're here to liberate the great people of Iran, which you'd like to think that's what they were doing it for. Of course, cynically, you're like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
That was day one. And now on day 34 or 35, whatever it is, we've reached a point where it's now, oh, what was that tweet Trump put out today with like the watching something new explode? I don't remember what it was, where he's like, this is your choice. Now we're gonna send you guys to the Stone Age. Pete Hegseth is tweeting out back to the Stone Age, just like that.
Yeah.
And Trump's tweeting out that we're gonna destroy everything and make it unlivable. So are you helping the people of Iran? That sounds like you're fucking them into perpetuity. You are collectively punishing them for their regime that you don't like. And I don't like it either, but like, what's your objective? That's another thing. What is the objective?
Yeah, no one can explain that.
Donald Trump came out the other night and gave one of the worst speeches I have ever seen him give. It was monotone, completely not entertaining in any way. There wasn't even a time where you had like a funny like Trump laugh, even if the whole thing was terrible. It was like the most boring 10 minutes ever. And someone on Twitter summarized it. One of the analysts summarized it perfectly. He was like, basically, Trump just gave a chronological retelling of like the last 2 weeks worth of his Truth Social posts. He didn't give any new information. He didn't say anything about any real strategy. He talked in, oh, we've been successful like never before, using all his regular.
We're almost there. We're very close.
We're very close, very close. And, you know, now a few days later, there's potential for a ground invasion, which was already on the table when he was doing that speech. And people thought maybe he's going to say, we're not doing that, or we're doing it, which would have been worse, you know, but that is now hanging over us. And now I put the link in there, Dave. He put out a tweet about the Strait of Hormuz. It's under Strait of Hormuz right there. You see the one tweet. He put out a true social about it, because that's been a whole thing. He tried to say in his speech the other night, we don't need the Strait of Hormuz. We have oil everywhere else doing whatever. But now he tweets out with a little more time, or True Social's out with a little more time, we can easily open the Hormuz Strait, take the oil, and make a fortune. It would be a, quote, gusher, unquote, for the world. President Donald J. Trump. Well, I don't see the distance between that and the thinking of Dick Cheney. And like, yeah, oil's this incredibly important resources. I'm not arguing that. But like, at what cost? At what cost to go take it, dare I say, imperialistically for yourself, regardless of who you're taking it from? You are creating on a silver platter current and future propaganda. You are radicalizing an entire next 1, 2, 3 generations through the actions you're taking to do this. If those things, I want to say it like that, if those things were to happen in the future, and let's even make it personal, if it affected me personally and people I loved, or, you know, God forbid, were somehow victims of that, of course, I'd be so fucking angry. I would want total revenge, all that stuff. But once I calmed down, even if I still wanted that, I'd be lying right now if I told you that I wouldn't be able to say, well, I know where it started. I know why that evil person became that evil person. Why they decided this was the way to go. I hate them for it. I hope they're burning in hell. But once upon a time, my president wanted a bunch of oil and dropped a fucking 5 trillion caliber bomb up the ass of his camel and his whole family. And he was the living one who decided, I want the revenge. I just don't think we learn our lessons in this country. And we'll continue going through the week by week, play by play of what's going on in the war. As I've said every week, and I will continue to say every week, I hope Monday all of my fears are wrong. Not Monday, the fucking 1 second after I sign off right now. All my fears are wrong and peace happens and cooler heads prevail. But we continue to see escalation after escalation. And I really hope when this is coming out on Saturday, we're not seeing boots on the ground or any of that stuff. But we'll continue to cover it. We will continue to cover the Epstein files. We feel like the last stop at the end of the road on the Boulevard of Broken Heroes here, covering it. But like I said, there are some amazing people online who are not getting the attention they deserve, like a Sayer G, who are doing God's work, going into far greater detail than we are here. We're going to do our little part and then also really shout out those guys. Also, again, shout out to the Epstein file search account on X. It's Epstein Search In, at Epstein Search In, just constantly throwing out data and pieces with government documents and everything to back it up. It's great shit. But we'll cover all that. And then this week, obviously, we were in Florida. We put out one episode. The second episode I had done with Sheriff Matt, which was awesome. And the second episode of the week, I moved to early next week because I didn't finish the thumbnails for that while we were on the road. So I'm going to finish that this weekend, and you'll be getting 4 episodes next week. So there'll be, I believe it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then we will have another J&D next Saturday
squared, baby.
as well. But thank you to everyone who's been watching this. Please continue to share this stuff with your friends. We will keep doing it. And I'm only just getting started around here. I've said that. I said that over 6 years ago when I started this, and sitting here still working 7 days a week on it. All these years later, I love what I do. It's a real privilege to be able to do it. And thank you to all of you for making it possible. Give it a thought. Give it back to me. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Sorry, I can't hear myself. Peace.
Yeah, I think that guy's pretty spot on with that. You know, and it's where I'm at. I wish I could say it the way others do. Well, what happens for me is I start getting pissed off when I start thinking about it, and I start fumbling, because when I think about exactly where we're at opposed to where we was at January 20th of 25, when we had these plans, matter of fact, we had these plans. And we hold on. The Make America Great Again. This. Twenty 2024 GOP platform. Seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Number 2, carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. So the first one seems like it may have happened, right? There's not, hundreds of thousands of illegals coming in the border every day. I mean, there's still probably 2 or 3% coming in, but it's not like it was where we seen 5,000 coming in just walking across the border, right? Darien Gap, all that stuff. That got handled. Good job for that. But what about these other 19? Carry out the largest, remember, because they were going over to all these different places and getting in trouble. A couple people got killed. All this stuff happened while the ICE people were really attempting to do their job, and all the radicals jumped in and started getting in the way of the ICE federal officers. Remember that? So they backed off that. End inflation and make America affordable again. That did not happen. That's not happening. Gas is $5.50 right here, in gas, unleaded or whatever it's called. Regular gas is $5.50 right now in California. So and I'm in Northern California, so I'm sure gas is $1 cheaper here at least than it is in like Los Angeles or San Diego. I'm sure it's like I'm sure they're really feeling it over there. You know, I know Texas is probably $3.50 or $4, but we're in California where they add $2 in taxes, for roads that they don't fix. Anyway, uh, make America dominant energy producers in the world by far. It could happen. We're stealing oil right now from Iran and Venezuela, and doing all that stuff. That's what we're doing. But are we really energy dominant? I think we have the potential to, but are we? We're not. We're not going to go through all these. I just want to go through. I want to go through the first 10, and we'll have enough information. We don't need to keep going. But stop outsourcing and turn stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. I think that is the plan, or was the plan, or maybe it's in the forefront or something, or in the rearview mirror or whatever. I'm sure that's what it was, with having was it 20 trillion or something, whatever it was, $20 trillion of revenue coming in for new companies coming in the United States and doing manufacturing here. I'm pretty sure that may become something in the years to come, but it takes time to do that, I'm sure. So I'll give them a break on that one. Large tax cut for workers and no tax on tips. Tell you about that. Did it work? I don't know. It's the 24th. So most people have done their taxes already, unless they got an extension. California, United States, taxes are due on the 15th of April. So most people have done their taxes. What kind of a tax break did you get opposed to previous years? You got to answer that question for yourself. Defend the Constitution. Okay, number 7. Defend the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Well, let's talk about that. The first video, or the second video we played, was about them, spying on us. So that doesn't sound like that's working. There's been a bunch of things like suppressors and short barrel rifles, and giving people their rights back after they've completed their sentence for nonviolent felonies. It just flopped. It was supposed to happen, and it never after the government shut down, the first shutdown last year, whenever it was, they had those bills going forward to do these things, some of these things, suppressors, different things like that. And then what happened was when the shutdown happened, it got put somewhere on somebody's desk, and it never made it to the Supreme Court where it was supposed to go, so that it could get final approval or get hashed out or whatever for those things. And so that didn't happen. The next one, though, is my best one. This is the all-time best number 8. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. Let that sink in for a minute. How close are we to World War III right now? I mean, we are right there, like right there. It's like a hair trigger right now. So eight's definitely a. in the weapon sorry, end the weaponization of government against the American people. Well, go back to clip 2A, where they're spying on Americans, you know, and taking America's freedom by, you know, the 702 and all that stuff. They're, you know, that was it's great to put it on paper. Matter of fact, by the way, this is not on the Trump administration website. They took it down. This is not up there anymore, unless they put it back up. But when I went to look for it 2-3 weeks ago, it was not on the website anymore. They had taken it down. Number 10. Stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, and crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Well, did he try? I think he attempted that. You know, I think he really tried to do that, but when all the stuff happened with ICE and a couple people got killed and all that stuff happened, I think they just backed completely off. I haven't heard a thing about any of that stuff in forever, you know, in 6 months. I haven't heard nothing about that. And by the way, there's still gang violence. There's still, you know, these people, you know, there's still all the stuff. I mean, you still see video after video after video of white kids getting the shit beat out of them. You see all that. So that hasn't happened. It might have slowed down a little bit, but it has not stopped. And the rest of them, you're welcome to look at the rest of them if you want. I'll leave it up for a second, but it sucks. It really does. Suck that you can stop the video if you'd like to go back to it. But what we voted for, let me rephrase that. What I voted for was that. I voted for freedom and prosperity and, financial freedom from, credit card debt, because everything's so expensive in the Biden administration that, we couldn't, you just couldn't survive. I mean, it's worse, at least as bad, if not worse right now than it was in the Biden administration. There is eggs though. I mean, I guess there's that. I guess eggs aren't, $15 for a dozen or whatever it was. So I'll give them that. But stuff is very expensive. I can't go to the store without spending a few $100. There's 4 of us in this house. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, all right. That's enough of that. Okay. Yeah, we'll just leave that right there. I want what's best for America. I do. I want what's best for America. I want Trump's economy and recovery and foreign policy and all that stuff to be the best it could be. But it really does take for him to do his job and everybody over there to work with the patriots that know what we want. I mean, he don't ask us what we want. We want these things, these 20 things that are on this, what's it called? The 2024 GOP platform, Make America Great Again. That's what we want. That's what we want. Anyway, all right, that's enough. All right, so what are we at? So we know about, or you may or may not know, I mean, it's been headline news for several days, at least on alternative media. I don't watch Fox News, so I have no idea. I'm sure Fox News is covering it because I've seen a couple. I think I've seen, I have a clip here with Engel. What the fuck is her name? Talking about Southern Poverty Law Center. So we do see that being something that's being kind of handled, right? It's kind of getting turned around. It's kind of being indictments or 11 indictments for against Southern Poverty Law Center, And the question is this just another one of those things where they, say that they're doing something, but then it just goes flat? Is that what it's going to be? Because, I mean, does anybody trust Todd Blanche to do this? I mean, Democrat, I mean, I don't, I'm going to be positive tonight. I'm going to say, I can't wait to see what happens to SPLC. But anyway, let's listen to what Todd Blanche says at this press conference. It's short. It's not very, I didn't pull the long one. I just pulled the short one. It's a couple minutes long. And then I think I'll back it up with the Engel one as well. Stand by.
We're here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front. In at least one of these matters, our investigation revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million. Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity. They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies and entities around America so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud. This is a serious and egregious violation of a group that purported to dismantle violent extremist groups, but in turn actually only fueled the hatred. This is an important case brought by President Trump's administration. We're thankful to the president for his leadership and funding of not just the FBI and DOJ, but his commitment to go out there and wipe out fraud and conspiracy and waste and abuse wherever it occurs, including the Southern Poverty Law Center. Even though this money was made to appear to be coming from legitimate people and legitimate entities, we at the FBI, with our great partners at the Department of Justice and in the state of Alabama, were able to comb through a decade worth of material, a scheme that took a decade to build, so that we were able to follow the money, because money never lies, and they got caught. As the Attorney General said, these charges are varying, they are widespread and wide-ranging, and this investigation is very much ongoing. Today, we're here to announce the charges of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and this investigation and the individuals who are responsible will be brought to justice. Thank you, General.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of one person and injured dozens more. This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years. In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front. Now, as the indictment lays out, after SPLC paid members of these extremist groups, it created work product that reported on these activities that the members participated in or contributed to. And to that end, it was doing the exact opposite of what it's told its donors it was doing.
The Southern Poverty Law Center is now labeled, you're in the club with me, by the way, they've labeled Turning Point as a hate group.
Yes, it's
coming from a hateful group like
it's
them.
surprised it took them so long to get us on the
I know,
list.
what took you so long, Charlie?
Understand that they're literally putting high school chapters of ours on a hate group next to the KKK and next to neo-Nazi groups. And I mean, we can laugh this off. There's an element to this. Remember that there was a shooter that went to the Family Research Council years ago, inspired by the SPLC list. This is them trying to make us basically surrender at Turning Point USA. We're going to do the opposite, and our students are only going to lean in even more. But they can't debate us on our ideas. They cannot have dialogue. They cannot actually go onto the merits of why they are right or why we might be wrong. Instead, they must smear us with the age-old one-liner that you are a racist or that you are a hater. And they're finally realizing the power of Turning Point USA, which is why they put us on this
Well, when you're
list.
effective, you're a threat, right?
That's
so
right.
They call me the high priestess of hate, right, Sam? Is that what they call me? I'm just,
Congratulations.
2008. Oh, it's old. It's so old. But
Yeah, so I wanted to throw that in there. I was off on my clip, but you get the point. So we know that Charlie Kirk's TPUSA at the time was, not racist. Obviously, we don't know what it is nowadays, and allegedly they're having a little trouble, and they're going to have to sort that stuff out. But these indictments, so all the hatred that has came about since the Obama administration, because remember, that's when the racism came about, 2014, 15, 16, or 2012, 13, 14, in that era of Obama, I guess all the way back to 2009. That's where the identity politics really started to come in, and it was all funded by the SPLC. And of course, Soros. Soros had a part in it. All the all the different protests and all that stuff where they were burning shit down and all that stuff. That all plays into this Lincoln Project, SPLC, Soros, all that. It's all connected to their, hate groups. That they are the hate groups, right? The ones that are saying that they're against racial hate, and they're the ones that's pumping it, and as you look into it, you can see exactly what they've done all these years to stow hate. Just that's what they do, because racism died. Let me tell you, racism died in the 70s. It never has been a thing since way back when Black Panthers movement and Aryan Nation, all that stuff was way back there. KKK, all that stuff was very prominent when I was a kid. But nowadays, that's not a thing. You never hear about these groups, with their hate campaigns. You only hear from it from like SPLC. So it'd be good to see what they do with it. I have a sneaky suspicion that what's going to happen is, I hope that this gets the pressure that it needs and it goes in the right channels. That doesn't get some, left wing judge that is doesn't know how to define a woman. Let's just hope. Let's just hope for a little bit of sanity in this, some common sense. So anyway, we'll be praying for this for sure. So, what do we got here? Yeah, I want to cover. So Tucker had his brother on last week or so. I think he had his brother Buckley on last week, and they were talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination and their theory on it. And let's just hear what they have to say.
The weird dynamics surrounding Charlie Kirk's death, the investigation, the initial press conference held by the supposed head of the FBI, Kash Patel, who said a lot of nonsensical things behind that podium, and no one has ever explained it. What does it mean? What does it mean to see "I'll see you in Valhalla," Charlie? What is the significance of the number 33?
What does that mean?
I don't know. No one's ever been compelled to answer that question, but Kash Patel stood at the podium and made a very big point. He could have made a lot of points. First of all, they released video of the supposed killer, Tyler Robinson, jumping off like a 20-foot roof. It was very bad quality video, even though they had high quality video on an entire campus. They released this ridiculous, absurd, 1973 quality VHS tape video of the supposed killer. They released all of his supposed text messages that detail all of the... If you were looking to incriminate yourself, if you had gotten away with a perfect crime, then you inexplicably decided to write down everything, every incriminating detail of your crime. We're supposed to believe that he did that. We're supposed to believe that the guy in the crowd, George Zinn, who'd been in various other hotspots like the Boston Marathon bombing, and he'd been a witness at 9/11, that George Zinn is going to just immediately erupt out of his seat, take his trousers off and run down screaming, waving his hands, saying, "I shot Charlie," within the first 30 seconds of it. Right? You wouldn't, if you wanted people to believe.
Feels a little Jack Ruby-y.
It does, very much so. I was expecting Tyler Robinson to be visited in prison by
Louis Joyland West.
Yes, exactly.
I pronounce you crazy.
And then you have an inexplicable fast-acting cancer that kills you within 6 months. Oh, that's normal. But sorry, back to the Kash Patel thing, the fact that he gave this press conference that was devoid of any real detail that you would want in the aftermath of this public execution. But then to emphasize things that seem so random and inexplicable, like Valhalla. Who the hell knows what Valhalla is, and why? How is it appropriate to this?
Well, as Scandinavians, we know what Valhalla is, which is it's the Norse heaven. It's a pagan understanding of heaven.
Yes,
right. So Charlie Kirk is a serious Orthodox, lowercase o Christian. He's like a real Bible believing Christian.
Yes.
He does not believe in Valhalla. He
No.
rejects Valhalla.
Yes.
That's ridiculous, actually, to say that about a Christian man. Valhalla?
Yes.
No, we're monotheists who believe in Jesus. There's no Valhalla in my world.
Yes.
Why would you say that?
And no one's ever held him to account. He's never felt compelled to explain it. Or the emphasis on 33. It took 33 hours to bring this guy to justice. And then he repeated it several times.
I don't know. I literally have no idea.
So everything surrounding it creates, obviously, unrest and disillusionment and anger.
Yeah, so that's very interesting that it's when put in that. So 33, we know that's Masons. We know that's the um, their Signia 33. And we know that Charlie Kirk, after Charlie Kirk's assassination, and Cash Patel comes out and he says some ridiculous stuff, which I don't know what that really was about because it don't make sense. But when Cash Patel talks, he doesn't make sense anyway because he didn't know what he's doing. And so when you rewind back to 2024, when he was on all the podcasts and stuff, he was a different person. And what do I think happened with Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, President Trump, and so forth? I mean, on and on and on. Is after they got into their positions, they went in some skiff somewhere, and they told them that this is how it is, and look at the people that aren't here anymore. That's what happens to people that don't do this the way we're doing it. And I think that because when you look at when you look at Bongino and Cash Patel during those interviews, it's very clear that they look like they were hostages. And I know Bongino's came out, and since Southern Poverty Law Center has been indicted, like clapping like a seal and all that stuff, which tells me that this was their thing that they were going to do to create a what do you call it, like some momentum before the midterms, thinking that this is going to, because I think personally, allegedly, gotta say that, I need to get allegedly behind me like Barron has on his wall, so I don't get sued, because that's what they do now. They just sue you. What I think is that Bongino went back to the podcast to run interference for the administration. That's what I think. That's what I think he did, because I don't know why he would leave the FBI randomly after 9 months. Don't make sense to me. So a lot there. There's a lot there with that whole Charlie Kirk thing. The 30-06 and the won't give the defense the stuff that the discovery so they can defend their client and all that stuff. There's a lot to that. There's a lot. Need more time to get into that before we can literally get involved with it, because it's so much. You almost have to not do anything else and just dive into it like we did. We've done the shooting. I have a theory about how Charlie Kirk was shot, where he was shot, and all that stuff. You can go back to episode 239 and 240 to get that information. It's pretty good. It looks legit to me. I think that there's a high probability that he was shot from a drone over his right or left shoulder, and potentially shot in the chest, allegedly in the chest, also about the solar plex from what it looked like. But anyway, that's for another day, another time. Let's talk about MAGA for a minute. So we were all, really into this. What do you call it? Make America Great Again, right? Then the left wing started saying that Make America Great Again is racist and all that stuff, right? They're a bunch of Nazis and all that stuff, right? That's what they were saying. So, what happened though is Donald Trump's movement died when he went against his word. Now, and as a man, how do you say it? As a man, speaking for myself, my word is I'm only as good as my word. That's it. If my word's no good, I'm no good. That's just my personal thing, and that's majority of honorable men will say the same thing. You're only as good as your word. And what Trump has done is went against his word, and for whatever reason, however that went down, and however this has turned out like this, because it's not just Iran. It's the Epstein files and how he covered it up. It's how he told Pam Bondi to hide it. It's how, all these different things that have came out that are verified now that these things have happened are, the reason why I'm having this talk right now about what happened to Trump and what happened to Bongino, what happened to Cash Patel. Because when you think about it, it's all kind of all goes together. Think about it. If you're really like stepping back 30,000 foot view and looking at it, it looks to me like maybe for Trump, they told him, hey, next time we won't miss. Right? Maybe for Cash Patel, like, hey, you know what happens to people that don't do what we tell them, right? They end up like JFK. I don't know. That's what I think. I think that the CIA and whoever's running that whole thing, Rothschilds or whatever, they're calling the shots, man. And if you don't follow it, you're dead. Look at what they've done to all these scientists that are clearly not going to go for this new push that they're pushing about the UAPs, right? We know this is what's coming. But anyway, I'll get off track here if I'm not careful. Let me stay focused. How long is this clip? Okay. The podcasters didn't kill MAGA. MAGA killed MAGA. Okay.
I saw somebody asking, are the podcasters killing MAGA? Is that what happened? Did the podcasters kill them? No, bro. Nothing could have killed prime MAGA. And if it would go back to its roots, nothing could kill it in the future. If you were in the MAGA movement like I was, dude, there's a reason that you have liberals like Joe Rogan, Tim Pool, Jillian Michaels, all these people that used to be on the left switch over to the right. And it's because MAGA made so much sense. It was pro-America, pro-American money, pro-American oil, anti-immigration from an illegal way, and mass immigration replacing our culture. I remember Trump was talking about, we're going to be saying Merry Christmas again. It was anti-pedophiles. The Epstein list was supposed to be outed from day one, bro. We had all the human trafficking arrests happening. There is so many reasons. Build the wall. There was so much about it that just made sense that free speech podcasters couldn't hurt it, because the longer you talked about it, the more sense that it made. Okay. How do you think we got Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, and RFK Jr.? All these people that used to be on the left, they came to this side of the aisle because it just made sense. Okay. It seems intentional that it's being killed now. I'd hope that it's not. I hope that I'm wrong and that Trump is going to basically pull up the curtain and, oh my God, there was a military operation the whole time, and they are taking down the people from the Epstein list, and they are prosecuting all the people that made everybody get poisoned by the jab for years, and they are taking care of the people that poison our food and our water. Oh my God, who knew? Okay, because if he would have stayed on brand with that, nothing could kill MAGA. But that's not what's happening. Something else is happening, and everybody feels it. Don't you get it? The podcaster people cannot kill MAGA. That's not what's happening. There is a departure from the thing that made MAGA MAGA, and now people feel that, and they don't know what to do about it besides go, really? This feels slimy again. It feels slimy, feels politicky, okay? And everybody knows it. And our money is going other places that we don't want it to go. Okay? MAGA is killing MAGA from the head. Hope it changes, but I'm right. If you want your social media, your business to explode, shoot me a DM. We'll see if it's a good fit. Consults are half off till the end of the month.
Yeah, Ross. Yeah, so sounds right to me. I mean, you know, it does. It sounds right. It's like we're all saying the same thing. You're either in the fan base where you just Trump can't do anything wrong ever. Everything that Trump does is perfect, and you know, it's 5D chess, and you know, any minute it's gonna, you know, he's gonna come out on a white horse, and it's all gonna be, you know, hunky dory. We're gonna just be, you know, freedom loving Americans again. Or you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Right? That's the bottom line. That's all. That's the only way you can look at it. That's really it. That's really it. Oh, you know, yeah. Anyway, bum, 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 bum. So staying with the Charlie Kirk thing for just a minute, I want to talk about, I'm going to play this clip with Candace real quick, and then I want to come back and talk about. Never mind.
I would willfully sit on the defense side and say, this person told me that the feds planted the gun. This person told me that the bomb dogs couldn't find it. How can you sit back and pretend that you are like a friend of Charlie Kirk because you're trying to get a patsy put into prison? Like, you guys are completely monstrous and pretending that you're on the side of morality. There was an overwhelming amount of evidence that the feds set this kid up as a patsy. Okay? Everyone in the town, all the local sheriff departments, the SWAT team, they believe that the feds came in and they started lying and they were sending people on wild goose chase, and they, said the gun was here and they said it was over there. There was no gun. They didn't want the bomb dogs to go into certain places. Like I said, I am not getting this information from people that do not have the credibility to assert that. That's how I got the pictures inside of the car. Okay, I am speaking to people with firsthand intimate knowledge, and they all believe that the feds set this up. So how are there people out there saying otherwise? Why wouldn't I testify for the defense? I want to find Charlie's real killer. I don't want to find some random kid that they're sticking this on. It's not Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson did not do this alone. I feel the opposite of how Erica Kirk felt sitting next to Barry Weiss. With everything I have collected, I feel the exact opposite as Charlie Kirk's wife. I feel almost certain that Tyler Robinson did not shoot. I would say I feel 99.9% certain that Tyler Robinson did not shoot Charlie Kirk from a rooftop by himself. How about that? I'm going to say 0.1% because I don't know. You just should never say 100% unless you're, Erica Kirk's lawyers. 100%, we'll get him. We'll get him. We're just going to go on vibes. No, you're going on corruption, not vibes. What she feels 100% certain about, confident about, is that there is a bunch of people who will lie for her. She's got a police force behind her. She's got 33 behind her. She's got the White House, Scott Bessent, that'll publish letters saying that they're so upstanding and so moral, right? That's what she feels 100% certain of, is that she's connected. The billionaire class of Epstein-type people who lie about everything. Me, I follow the facts, and Tyler Robinson did not do this. He's not a lone gunman on a rooftop, okay? So I challenge you. I challenge any person, like I've done over and over again. If you feel so 100% overwhelmed by the evidence that Tyler Robinson did this, please come sit in this studio and debate me. I need someone to debate on this. It's over. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm having a heart attack. It's so overwhelming. There's so much evidence. There's no evidence. Shut up. Stop saying that. It's the end of Lent, and I just don't, I genuinely want to be calm this week, getting out of Lent. You don't have to shut up. I just prefer you say nothing. That's a better way of saying that. Please say nothing. Better.
Nope, you should shut up, because there's no fucking way. I know, I'm not supposed to be cussing. Calm down, Webb. There's no possible way that kid did that. There's no evidence. Now I've looked at it and looked at it and looked at it and looked at it and angles and this and that. You know, I locked myself in my studio for like a week. My wife was pissed, and I was just, I just can't. I mean, I wasn't even, listen, let me just roll it back for a second. I wasn't even really a follower of Charlie Kirk. Every once in a while, I'd catch a clip or two or something, or I'd see him on Bannon or whatever, or someone else's show, whatever. But I wasn't like watch Charlie Kirk at 10 a.m. on Pacific Standard Time. I wasn't that guy. But what happened to him and how I felt it. And I think that most Americans with common sense and decency felt it. And what happened to Charlie Kirk, and then what they put out right away, anybody with a half a brain would be able to go, that's not right. There's no way that's right. I mean, have you ever shot a 30-06 before? It's virtually impossible to shoot somebody and in the neck or an animal and then not just blow. Exit wound would be there's no way. And so that's why I have the theory, and you could go back to 239 and look at it, where Charlie was shot from behind the ear in a downward motion, and this is an exit wound. You could look at all the blown up mics and theories and all that stuff. You can just spend all day long looking at all that stuff. But when you think about the fact that Charlie Kirk was probably shot by like a 300 blackout from behind the building from a drone, or I really think it was the drone that did it. There was drones in the area. There was planes in the area flying low. I mean, there's just too many coincidences that I don't believe in coincidence at all. That proves that was what happened. And what I think is going on is I think that there's a bunch of people compromised. I don't know who they are, who exactly is compromised, but I could say, this is what I can say. If they're in the Epstein files, they're compromised. If they're covering up for the Epstein files, they're compromised. I know that for sure. So there's no way around that. And anybody that says that it's okay, that any of that's okay, they're compromised. They got to be compromised. There's no way. Anyway, now I don't usually I'm just going to play it. I'm going to play this clip about 5 minutes. I'm going to play it. It's about Erica Kirk. It's about her in China, that whole thing. I think it's important if you put the pieces together, because if you can put all the different pieces together, you might kind of get a different idea if you don't have an idea of what the possibilities are, allegedly. Okay?
Erica Kirk is sinking fast. Her best friends are publicly abandoning her. The trafficking history of key Turning Point USA staff is being exposed. And now, her shady history in China is blowing up in her face. And the timing couldn't be worse for her. In December, a Turning Point employee told us to investigate Erica Kirk's time living in China. She said Erica proved herself in Romania and was promoted to run Chinese operations for the international trafficking network.
She had a whole trafficking network running over there. Epstein and the Clintons, they caught her, and then they just kicked her out. Way too clean and quiet, almost like the whole thing was designed to disappear into the shadows.
Now China are playing their hand. releasing information about Erica Kirk, Jeffrey Epstein, and the Clinton Foundation's role in international child smuggling operations. Here's Chinese lawyer Victor Gao, vice president of the Beijing-based Center for China and Globalization.
Does China have the files?
Well, eventually everything needs to come out to the sun. Let's wait.
Okay, I like that kind of strategic ambiguity.
Gao says that child trafficking networks operating around the world have become a critical tool for propping up powerful governments, and that the time has come to tear away the veil of secrecy.
And allow me to make one point. I think it is right now the high time to expunge the evil as represented by Jeffrey Epstein and whoever who is with him. Now, this is a very important point. I do not want to go into further details. I think the evil as represented by Jeffrey Epstein need to be fully expunged in the world, including in the relations between Israel and the United States.
Erica Kirk's time in China is the crack in the dam. Her explanations don't hold up even under basic questioning. One moment, it's a short tourist visit. The next, it's months spent living there, working with at-risk children. She's scrambling. Inconsistencies are piling up, and her story is steadily crumbling under scrutiny.
On this investigation, the theme of sex trafficking, it's coming up too much. Child sex trafficking in particular. And so I was interested in Erica having said that while she was quote unquote living in China, she was working with victims of sex trafficking. Okay. I want you to remember what she said. Take a listen.
I decided to create something called Everyday Heroes Like You, where we're able to originally, it was focused on bringing funds and awareness to various grassroots organizations that were in specific communities that would be able to have volunteers that are transparent with their funds, that are actually doing what they're saying they're doing, instead of just having 70% of the funds go to admin and only 30% towards the cause. It kind of grew into something more global. I was living in China and doing a lot of work with the victims from sex trafficking, and then began to phase that into working with the Marine Corps and the Army, and then was able to work with a orphanage in Romania.
It's increasingly obvious that Erica is hiding something significant in China. And when it finally collapses, it could expose everything.
Then I told you guys that having asked this question through an official channel, Turning Point USA, I received a response alleging that Erica never lives there. So that's coming from Erica. She actually never lived there. They said that she simply visited for 2 weeks, you know, like a tourist, just to visit the Great Wall and perhaps see other monuments in history. Then somebody emailed me an interesting video of Charlie Kirk. And apparently he disagrees with that new assessment. This is a video of Charlie debating someone named Ben Carollo. Take a listen.
When you go to China, let me just tell you, you'll drive down the street and you will see dead people laying in the middle of the street. You will see people defecating.
Go to China then. Go to China. Take a video.
Actually,
bring
you know
your
what?
cameras.
Go
to China.
Unlike
take a video
you,
with these cameras.
unlike
I dare
you,
right now.
Unlike you, my wife lived in China for 6 months, and she'll show you the videos. She'll show you the images. They don't have a regard for human life.
Will the real Erica Kirk please stand up? She's now given at least 6 different versions of events regarding her time in China. Her own husband clearly thought she lived there for 6 months. Yet she's now officially denying it. Just like she denied being pregnant in 2014, before mysteriously disappearing for 8 months to allegedly study the Bible. Yeah.
Yeah, so couple things. Let's start with Hillary Clinton. We know that Hillary Clinton, not only did she have the debacle in Haiti where those kids came up missing, we know that she's involved in all the sex trafficking with Epstein and her husband and all that stuff. And I think Bill was just not the how do you say it? Not the smartest person in the room. I think that when he was president, I think she was running the show probably, because she's very calculated, Hillary Clinton. And so, and then Erica Kirk is like a chameleon. She's whatever you need her to be. And the more I look into this, the more I kind of see what they're talking about with her because of the things that the way she operates her whole thing, the way the operation, the CEO in 5 days, them lying and saying that Charlie Kirk said that if anything happened to him, that she needed to be in charge and all that stuff, all the lies and because I mean, Charlie Kirk, what I do know about him, the little bit that I did know about him is that he believed that the wife should not have to work and she should be home raising the kids like a good wife. That's what his context was. At all those places that he went, he would talk about it all the time about how the wife should have the freedom to be the mother of children, to take care of kids. And so that's the other thing. The third thing that is definitely more interesting is the fact that when Erica was in Romania and she had a orphanage and lots of children, I don't know the exact number, many children came up missing. We know that it's also, there's just a lot with Erica Kirk that we haven't got there yet. Stuff takes time. I'm a running the show by myself. I don't have any help. I don't have researchers and all that stuff. But at some point I will. If you want to help me with that, it's a great segue to go to My Patriot Supply in the description and buy some restorable food, generator, or water supply. They have I have all that stuff in the description on the video. Check it out. Help support us. It's greatly appreciated. Any help that you give us by buying. We don't want nothing for free, but if you want to help us, great. Subscribe to the channel, especially if you're on YouTube and you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on that new channel. So if you can help us with that, that'd be great. Also, if you're on Rumble, really do appreciate it if you'd subscribe. Thank you very much. Now, where we at? One of the things that has been very, and we're going to get into David Wilcock here in just a minute, but I'm going to cover this one other topic that is so important. So MTG was super tight with Trump, very tight. Like she, in 23 and 24, when he first started doing the rallies, she was in with him all the time, doing these rallies, doing these, Save America or whatever I think it was Save America rally, Make America Great Again, all that stuff. And she went to a lot of different events with him, all the time. And she was one of his biggest supporters, much like lots of other people that were very, strong supporters of Donald Trump, President Trump. And now she's saying some things that is very interesting. And some people talk about Candace Owens like, oh, she's crazy, she's lost her mind, and all that stuff. But if you listen to what Candace is saying and take your bias away for just a second, you might see something that others are seeing by just, you don't have to believe everything you hear, obviously. But if you could just take a step back for a minute and just look at the common sense in it, you can learn so much about when people talk. And that's what I've learned to do since I started the show 6 years ago or 5 years ago, is I have to start to listen to what people are saying instead of having my own biases wherever they're at on the political aisle or whatever. I listen to all different people because I want to get the truth wherever it's at. However, I have to get it that way. Like, there's been times when, when liberals say the right thing, and I hone in on it, because I think it's important that we use common sense in these times instead of being right or left. It should be common sense, God-fearing people, and what they say. Usually God directs us. I ask God to direct me, lead, guide, and direct me every day, so that I can hear what I cannot hear, so I can hear what I need to hear. So anyway, let's listen to this clip with MTG real quick, and then we'll be back.
Marjorie, how dangerous do you think Donald Trump is? There's a lot of speculation that he is not in control, that he's a political actor, that he has been a political actor since the day he came down the golden escalator, that he has puppeteers, handlers, and he's acting on behalf of a larger shadow type organization that is really pulling the strings. How extensive do you think that is? And how much of Donald Trump that we see is actually him in control, and how much of it is him playing a role or following orders? And the secondary question to that is, if so, who do you think is it that is behind him pushing these agendas?
It's both. So he's very transactional, and you can look at his history and see that. Art of the deal. Oh my, that's all about making deals.
Yep.
It's about coming up with a deal that's the best for you, but you're going to have to give a little to get there. So he's very transactional. And so what you're seeing is when 2020, or 2021, he was no longer president. So he went into 4 years of basically exile, where the entire system had completely kicked him out. They were done with him. Never again. You're never coming back. They totally denounced him, the entire thing. So he spent 4 years fighting his way back in. The only legs he had to stand on was the American people that supported him and the message that he said. So he didn't get there on his own. He got there because of the American people. But what he had to do along the way is he made certain deals with it's a smaller group of people, but some very significant, powerful people, very rich people, and it's the donor class. And we can look at Miriam Adelson. She's the perfect example.
Okay.
She gave Trump hundreds of millions of dollars. It takes a lot of money to run a campaign. It takes Kamala Harris had, what did she have? $1.5 billion, and she lost. But she lost because the Democrats screwed up so badly. But that's a lot of money. He had over $1 billion. Well, Miriam Adelson gave him hundreds of millions of that sum of money. So she was a top donor. Then he had other major donors. A whole grouping of crypto guys came in and said, we're going to support you. They weren't necessarily Donald Trump people. They weren't necessarily MAGA people, but they said, if you get through what we're wanting to do with crypto, then we're going to be all in. And they donated a lot of money to him.
That's right. PayPal Mafia boys like Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and the likes, right?
The tech. Tech and crypto. So they all came in, got behind him, and gave him their resources and used their platforms any way they could to help him get elected. That was extremely powerful. So you have to look, and I'm just giving a couple of examples, but we can put these people in groups. There were all these groups. Big Pharma loves Donald Trump.
Yes.
Why? Because he loves the COVID vaccine. He loves all vaccines. The man just got boosted at his last checkup. So you have to understand, Big Pharma loves Donald Trump, and he loves Big Pharma. He doesn't hate Anthony Fauci. He loves Anthony Fauci. He loves Dr. Birx. He loves these people. He thinks Operation Warp Speed was the greatest thing that he ever did. He does. Says it out loud. He says he saved millions of lives with the COVID vaccine. So Big Pharma was easy for him. The military industrial complex loves Donald Trump. Why? Because he talks Congress into funding the biggest military budgets you've ever seen. And he wants $1.5 trillion on the next one. So of course, so he had all these groups. So I'm describing, sorry, I'm being long-winded, but
no, keep going, because you're naming all of the money pots. APAC,
Yes.
tech bros, big pharma, the military industrial complex, big
Yes.
banksters, right? Like all
Yes.
of the criminals who have always controlled presidents throughout history, all coalescing around Donald Trump. And he just sold out, just sold out.
He made the deal, art of the deal. That was
Yeah.
his art of the deal. So for what did Trump do? He said, what did he want? What was the exchange? He wanted to be president again. That's what his pride is enormous. He's the
Naming
biggest-
rights, naming rights.
naming rights. Yeah, he wanted it all to be in the limelight. He wants
Yeah.
to stand in the center arena. He wants it. He wants the golden statues. He wants his name everywhere. That's what he received. But what he had to give away was, I'll give you what you want. And he's done it. And you literally, if you open your eyes and look at his actions, he's literally delivering for all the people that funded him the most. He's not delivering for you. You guys received an annoying amount of text messages that said, my father is disappointed in you. Why haven't we heard from you?
Abusive.
Demanding your money, emails 20 a day, is crap in the mail. You got berated constantly to donate your $10, your $50, your $100. You might have even wrote $1,000 check. That's what you guys got. But the big donors, they got to go to the Mar-a-Lago parties, and they still get to go. They get to go to the White House. They have lunches and dinners. For the love of God, look at the people that came in and had dinner with the president. They're the people that censored you and kicked you off of social media because you were saying, I'm not taking that vaccine. I'm not wearing a mask. No, I'm not doing that. Or you said there was a stolen election. God forbid you care about your election integrity.
Right.
These are the people that treated you the worst. And we're not giving Democrats any room. Look, they carried on with those people too, because guess what? A Democrat president can't become president unless he makes the deals with practically the same people.
Right.
You guys have to understand, in order to become president of the United States, they are all giving it away. They're all giving it away. And Donald Trump gave it away the most. And the most egregious part, Shannon, what he gave away the most wasn't just for American companies or American donors. What he gave away the most was for the secular government of Israel and their military and their ambitions and their desires and who they want to bomb and who they want to kill and who they want to control. And Trump made that deal and said, I will do it for you.
Wow.
And that's what we're watching it play out in real time.
That's a lot to take in. But if you think about the common sense of it, seems like that is exactly what happened. And maybe, maybe at first he was pounding, because remember, his first, 3 or 4 months, he was just like bam, 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 bam. And they must have came to him and said, hey, that's not our deal. This is our deal. Or, it could be that, or it could be the Epstein files are really way worse than we know. And as long as he goes with the deal, then they won't release the stuff that's really incriminating. I don't know. I don't know. You have to be the judge. I'm going to say allegedly. Okay. That's all I can do. I can only say what I think, and that's all I can do. But it sure does seem like it's something that we don't see. Maybe there's more to it than what now maybe we are starting to see, and it's scary as fuck, because if you think about it, like, look, what happens when a Democratic president gets back into office. We're going to go right back to the Joe Biden era, the George Bush, the Barack Obama, so anyway. All right, so let's get into this. David Wilcock was a scientist that was in charge of, he was UAP, different types of mind control type, not mind control, but my I don't know how to explain it. I did a deep dive on it today, so the information is fresh in my mind, but I just don't remember all the different avenues and all the parts. But I have it here, so we're just going to play some clips, then we'll talk about it. Because as I start remembering, when I hear people talking about it, I'll be able to collaborate with you about it. But I got an old brain. It takes a minute for it to get warmed up around some of these different topics. So let's start right here. Stand by.
So this video is going to be about David Wilcock, who just passed away, how that could possibly tie into Amy Eskridge's, what she has been saying, and some interesting stuff that you may not know that could tie into. So David Wilcock, who is a UFO researcher, he has been on Gaia, he's been on Ancient Aliens, kind of a pioneer in the UFO movement, passed away on Monday, April 20th. Now what they're saying is that it was self-inflicted, okay, that he did it. Though it's kind of weird because there's kind of some things going around of it being unofficial, but there are police reports. Now, here's the thing. 2 days before David passed away, his biographer, Win Free, also passed away. Now, is that a coincidence? I don't know. Wynn was also kind of involved in similar stuff, and I don't know. And the thing is, David had posted this in 2022. Could things have changed? I know David was going through some turmoil in his life with some legal things going on, a divorce with his wife, even though you may be a spiritual person, you still have human things go on in your life, you know what I mean? But here's what's interesting, is that Amy Eskridge was talking, I had made a video about it yesterday, but she had talked about Huntsville, Alabama, that is going to be a big key component in disclosure, them hiding stuff, secret things going on. Well, and I had mentioned that they had moved the Space Force there to Huntsville, Alabama, Rocket City. But what's interesting is that David lived in Colorado. It was about an hour somewhat away from Colorado Springs, where the Space Force used to be. But now they're moving that to Alabama. I feel like there might be some kind of correlation, because his passing is just days after the first major waves of intelligence personnel landed in Alabama. And kind of maybe a cleanup operation before the next space operations begin. Now, if you're familiar with David, he's talked about things, right? Like him kind of being involved or knowing things secretly, right? So it's just interesting. I mean, David used to claim that he was a key liaison for insiders, revealing government secrets and technology. Was there a secret space program? Or is there a secret space program? Is there secretive stuff going on that the public's not aware of? I'm sure of it, but does it go deeper than we even realize? Is that why all these scientists and individuals are being silenced? There is a correlation between them all, whether we like it or not, even in David's recent passing. It's just very interesting. I'm going to keep going on it because I have entered kind of a tunnel, and it's connecting. And I don't know. What do you all think? What do you think of this? Do you see that connection? Do you see a connection possibly to David and Colorado space, space program moving to Alabama, where Amy had talked about Huntsville, Alabama, really containing the secrets and disclosure? Do you see where I'm going with this? I hope I'm going somewhere with it. Do you all see it? Let me know.
All right, we're going to get weird because I want to tell you about the very real anti-gravity research the U.S. military started funding in 2001 and the subsequent disappearance of the scientist behind the breakthrough that started the program. Back in 1991, a Chinese-American physicist named Ning Li joined up with another physicist named Douglas Torr out of the University of Alabama to publish a series of papers outlining their theoretical approach to anti-gravity. Now, according to these peer-reviewed papers that cost me $100 to get my hands on, their theoretical approach to what they called a practical anti-gravity effect called for rotating ions in a specific way to create a gravimetric field that was perpendicular to the axis of their spin. And by aligning those spinning ions properly into something they called a Bose-Einstein condensate, which is a unique form of matter, they claimed they could produce a strong repulsive force that would counteract gravity. Now, these papers were strictly theoretical, but in 1997, Ning Li published another paper outlining very real results from a low-power test that she and her colleagues conducted inside their laboratory at the University of Alabama. According to that peer-reviewed paper, they consistently measured an anomalous weight change of a test object suspended above a rotating superconductor ranging from 0.05 to 2.1% of its overall mass. Now, reducing the weight of an object by 2% won't make it float around the lab, but nonetheless, this low-power test seemed to be legitimate proof of concept for Ning Li's theories. And 2 years after this paper was published, Ning Li decided to leave the University of Alabama and strike out on her own, starting a company called AC Gravity LLC. And she was not alone. In fact, the chair of the university's physics department quit his job and went to work for her at AC Gravity. Within just 18 months, they managed to secure their first Defense Department contract. And after a fair bit of digging, I managed to get a hold of some of the language associated with that award. The contract was for $448,970, which adjusted to today's inflation is just shy of $800K. The document even goes on to discuss the potential implications of this effort, stating plainly that if successful, the payoff would be, quote, enormous. Going on to say that it could lead to the development of new forms of propulsion, new guidance systems for missiles and gun-launched projectiles, new ways to counter inbound missiles that use inertial guidance, ways to lighten heavy equipment, and a whole lot more. But the document also says that if the experiments aren't successful, then they can eliminate this line from future efforts and finally put to rest the controversy surrounding these theories. But we don't know the outcome of these experiments. All we do know for sure is that after the conclusion of this contract in 2002, Ning Li continued to work for the US military for years. She made only one more public appearance, attending a conference the following year where she gave a presentation on her AC gravity theories, joined on stage by one of her colleagues, a US Army officer from the Redstone Arsenal, assigned to the Army's Aviation and Missile Command. And after that, Ning Li just disappeared. Nobody saw her or her work again pop up anywhere in the academic world. And by 2008, people were beginning to come up with conspiracy theories about what must have happened to this anti-gravity physicist. The prevailing theory was that she returned to China with her technology to continue her work for the Chinese government. But I can now tell you for sure that that never happened. In fact, the Chinese government did approach Ning Li in 2008, and she rejected their offer. And as a result, the Chinese government barred her from re-entering the country to attend her mother's funeral. Ning Li continued to work for the Department of Defense at the Redstone Arsenal and the University of Alabama campus until 2014, when she was tragically hit by a car, suffering brain damage that left her bedridden for the remainder of her life. Now, there is a whole lot more to the story of Ning Li and her research, and I have a much longer video about this topic that just went live on that other video platform. But suffice to say that Dr. Ning Li was no pseudoscientist. I honestly can't say what came of her anti-gravity research, but I can say that whatever came of it seemed promising enough for the US military to continue funding her efforts for the remainder of her working life.
Yeah, so played that with that because all this kind of goes together. The anti-gravity, or, all this compulsion, all that stuff. And these scientists are doing this stuff because they're working with this unidentified objects, right? That's what they're doing. They're working with all these different things that we know nothing about because it's scientific or it's confidential. And the first clip I played, the cleanup, seems like it's very spot on because you have 12 scientists involved in these UAPs, all the different things, and they're all the researchers that are gone. Some of them missing, some of them dead. So, blown up in their car. I mean, just all these different things are happening. And remember, when a couple days ago, before Wilcox died, his colleague was killed. Okay. And so this is a thing that's happening right now with all of these scientists on the backs of Obama coming out talking about UAPs, Trump coming out and talking about releasing the files. And now there's a thing about the government. They're not going to maybe, but I don't think they're going to release the files that, or, the things that would freak us out because, of course, we're too stupid to know the truth. So they'll give us a line of bullshit. And they're cleaning up all the loose ends before they release it, is what I see. Now, David's, this is interesting because, I'm going to play some of his show here in a few minutes, but I'm going to play this thing where David's lawyer or his brother and the lawyer, something like that, he had wrote a letter. And in the event of his death, because remember, or you probably don't know this right now, I'm going to show you here in a minute, that he was worried about his life and he was concerned about his safety 4 days ago before he died. He died like 3 or 4 days ago. And so let's listen to the part of the letter that they released. Now, remember, all this stuff is allegedly, and it's very possible that all this stuff is part of the program that they don't want you to know anything about. So anything that we're doing right now can be bad information because I don't know, but I dug deep into this and I did a bunch of research on it to find the most prominent things so that we can kind of get an understanding about not just Wilcock, but all 12 of these scientists that are either missing, vanished into thin air. Like I think Amy was walking on a trail with her husband was 20 feet ahead of her. He looked back, she was there. A few minutes later, he looked back and she was gone on a hiking trail, just vanished. This is not the first one that this happened with. So just bear with me while we play this clip 13.
In one of the last conversations I had with David, he had disclosed to me that he had written this important letter and sent it to his lawyer. This was the lawyer for, I believe, Stavati and maybe some of his other business holdings. I'm not sure. I never met the lawyer. He never told me or disclosed to me what was in. Sorry, I'm checking my mic battery because it died earlier, but we're okay. He never disclosed to me the contents of the letter, but he was worried about the contents of the letter, and he was worried about what his lawyer might interpret it as, or worried about his lawyer's response. Anyway, this is an excerpt that his brother emailed to me. I have the entire letter. I can't read the entire letter because part of it is private, but I'll read what his brother Michael released to the public. Okay, here's the final portion of the document. I'm going to start with that because he talks about, this is from David. I also ask that this document remain confidential to preserve the security of the names, situations iterated herein, apart from portions of the last paragraph on the first page, if appropriate. I hope that this serves as a valid outline for path forward in the event that I was lost, comma, and that I have your forgiveness. I feel I have done the best I could do in a very difficult situation. And then he signs this. and it's David Wilcock, Saturday, April 18th, 2026. And this is the part that he wants you all to hear as his family and audience. I do deeply apologize to everyone if something like an accident ended up happening. Thank you for loving me. I feel I have done the very best that I could. My health has collapsed from poverty, starvation, and disease. I have also now almost completely run out of money. I did my very best to keep on going for as long as I could. For my family, friends, and all of my greater family of supporters, I want you to know how much I love you and how sorry I am if something ended up happening to me. I know that accidents are possible in my reduced state. So very intense. His brother then basically is thanking some of the investigators and law enforcement. I myself spoke with one of the responding officers who unfortunately witnessed this situation.
So, a letter from him a few days ago before his death. And so he is talking about, or was talking about on live stream a, a few days ago that, well, he died on Monday. So I think it was Saturday or Sunday. He did a stream, a spare of the moment stream. And we're going to get into it here in a few minutes. But before we do, I want to get there. I have a couple other clips here before we get there. So I want to set this up for you so you kind of get an idea of what I came across. Okay. And so he's literally talking about how his life has been so bad lately, and he had lost a bunch of weight. And so, this is what they do, right? They poison you without even coming within walking distance of you. They poison you. And so I believe that there's more to it than meets the eye, to say the least. Stand by.
This is David Wilcox, and this morning he became the 12th scientist to unalive himself. Take a listen to what he said on his final live stream.
Every day that I have on earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary.
His last live, the thumbnail was a picture of Trump in his Jesus robe. And it was, has Trump lost his mind? Is he the Antichrist? No, it was not. Yes, it was.
Oh, no.
I think this is really weird. This is from his last live.
And I am so grateful, and we'll do the typical lead out here. And A-N-D, not E-N-D, and scene.
I mean, I don't know. So, like, the bigger question is, like, what is actually going on? Whether these people killed themselves, they were killed, is like, what are
Why?
the secrets of why?
On February 19th, Trump tweeted out, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America.
And what is your takeaway from that particular
It's
Right.
Jeffrey Epstein 2.0. We're releasing all the files, except there's 3 million we haven't seen, and they're going to release some information that they have, and they got to whack everybody that's going to contradict or come out and say, hey, sorry, I am an academic. I've been studying this for 20 years. We actually have different information. One by one, they're plucking them out, and they're gone.
Is Kash Patel really going to get to the bottom of this?
Of course not.
You know, is he actually serious? 'Cause-
Oh my God, you know who did this?
What?
Who killed these people?
Who?
Tyler Robinson.
Yeah. So when you put it all together, it gets fucking weird, scary for people, especially if you're a scientist. Look at what happened to the Chinese lady, Ming or whatever her name was. She left the organization, started her own thing, and they ran her over. They ran her over and killed her, or, vegetableized her. So she was bedridden for the rest of her life. So she couldn't do anything, talk, nothing. It's crazy. This is what they do to you. None of us are safe. I mean, if they want you, they get you. They'll put poison gases in your air filter in your house and you just die, or they'll take your lug nuts off your car when you're not looking and you'll crash and flip your car and die. I mean, casualties is part of war, right? And this is all war for them. It's crazy, but let's keep going. Stand by.
Joshua LeBlanc grew up in New Iberia, but he was working in Huntsville at NASA as an electrical engineer. His family reported him missing earlier this week. His car was found Tuesday afternoon, 2 hours away from his home, with no signs of him anywhere. Joshua LeBlanc was well known in New Iberia, where he graduated from Catholic High and later attended and graduated from UL Lafayette. His family tells me he last communicated with them at 4:32 a.m. Tuesday. They also told me he never showed up for a job that he loved that morning as well. What we do know about his disappearance is this. Alabama authorities did track his blue Tesla Model 3. According to the Tesla car data, it stopped for 4 hours at the Huntsville International Airport, which is about 12 minutes from his apartment. The data shows his car left the airport, traveled west on Alabama back roads before crashing in Florence, Alabama. Tuesday, 2 p.m., the car was discovered and a body inside, but the body was found burned beyond recognition, according to family members. But the case has only raised more questions. LeBlanc's phone, his personal belongings, and even his dog were all left behind in his Huntsville apartment. Family members say the detour and disappearance don't match anything Joshua had planned for that day, and now they believe he may have been abducted from his home.
Now, so another scientist, this one was they abduct him, or they, he was at the airport for 4 hours, a few miles from his house. They then they find his car burnt to a crisp. So what's the likeliness of the scientists that are still alive, that are missing, that have not been found yet? What's the likeliness of them being in some facility doing the work that they're, that they are the specialists to do for, whoever's running these secret programs, CIA, whoever it is, whatever, agency that operates them. And if they say no, then they just kill them. And then the next thing you know, their Tesla's burned on the side of the road. Or, they put a body in the car, make sure it's pretty hot when it catches on fire, and they, the body's unrecognizable. Then, he's dead. And then he, ends up being, a slave for whatever organization it is that's operating this, unidentified phenomenon, right? Aerial phenomenon thing, right? Because this is what they do. And we now know, when we pay attention to this, that it just continues. It just continues. All the things because they just lie to you, and they use a lie to cover a lie that covers a lie that covers a lie. And if you have any common sense at all, after this couple lies, you're like, oh, well, that don't make no sense. That sounds like cash patel. It just doesn't make sense. So let's listen to what David says. He did a live stream, and I took some excerpts from it. And we'll play one, then we'll come back. We'll play. I have 3 of these, and then I have some more on this. I have a bunch more stuff on this, but we're just gonna go through it. And I know I'm running late, and I'm just gonna do it because now we're in it, and I'm not gonna stop and then come back tomorrow and do it. So we're just gonna stay here and finish it. How do you say that? Fuck it. Let's go. Stand by.
But even if you have that kind of perspective, like, well, wait a minute. if he screws up everything, then we're all going to be screwed up and nothing's going to be any good. So like, let's try to make the best out of this. Let's try to find a way to
Trump.
heal the situation and have some understanding perhaps of like, okay, well, is it all really just going to hell? And is he actually the Antichrist, right? Like that's the speculation's coming out. Oh my God, he was wounded on the ear and yet did live. He wounded on the side, and formed into an idol to be worshipped by all peoples and all nations and all tongues and da da da. Like, whoa, is that what's really going on here? Is that what we're really seeing? And that's a very heavy concept to try to wrestle with because, yeah, you know what? In some ways, maybe it feels like in the proximity of truth. Like, yeah, who else would be able to fulfill that role right now? And he's, he's going on these war tangents and he's blowing people up. And oh my God, he's posing as the Christ. And then he says, oh, I'm just a doctor. Well, doctors, son, let me tell you something, okay? Doctors don't usually get into a healing regime involving a flipping ball of light in their hand where you put the other hand on somebody's head and people are praying. You're telling me that that's just a regular, ordinary doctor oh yeah. And the Red Cross, you know how they love to come in with that robe that's all red and white and just, David, give me a break. This guy, we just need to get the 25th Amendment fired up as quick as we possibly can. Just get him the hell out of there because I have had it. All right. Wow. Angry Daddy is in effect. It is happening. It is on track, man. We are doing this. We are live. Anything can happen. No holds barred. We are ready to go. So the Antichrist, I mean, whoa. Like, I think that's a little bit extreme. To say Trump is Jesus is unforgivable blasphemy. No, I did not say he was Jesus. It's just something that came up, and we're trying to look at it, deal with it however we can. Anyway, to just start out with some business, I want to thank you so much for being here.
Hold on, I got another one.
I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here. Every day that I have on earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary. I got to say, it's a little bit scary, but you guys knew that I might still show up even though it was last minute and I've had a really rough week. Like, that's kind of like every week, but somehow we keep on making it through all of this. Somehow we keep on grinding our way through this thing and keeping on track and having it work out. So, my God, the big thing, of course, is this Iran-Iraq, well, not really Iraq, but Iran war and how it's all turning into these, the T always chickens out or TACO, TACO. I found out what that acronym means. I'm like, oh my God. David, let me just say something about this too. Why in the world are people trying to say that it's a bad thing if he chickens out, David? If he doesn't chicken out and he blows the hell out of him, then we're all screwed, David. We are up, what's creek, not only without a paddle, we're up the creek without a freaking boat, David. So he can chicken out as much as he wants, okay? Let me just be clear on this. He can chicken out as much as he wants. That's not going to bother me at all. I would be a little bit more worried if he didn't chicken out, if they're so calling it, and he actually goes and freaking blows everything up. Oh, I'm going to bring a civilization to an end. Oh, I'm going to blow him back to the Stone Ages. I mean, David, this is just driving me crazy. I look on the television, I see this man, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is happening here? We're in some type of parallel funhouse mirror reality where this guy somehow became the president. I don't know how the hell it happened, but it drives me out of my mind. And I have had it. Woo! Yeah! Angry Daddy in the house.
So yeah. Before we continue, do you think that person right there, David Wilcock, is going to kill himself? You hear what he's saying? He's telling you right there without telling you that my life is in danger, or at least I'm scared shitless. I'm doing this show at the spur of the moment because I'm worried that, they're going to come get me, or they're going to zap me, or they're going to kill me, or they're going to whatever. And he's saying that without saying that. And we're going to keep going. I have another one. But think about it. Before we do that, let me see if I can pull this up. A little bit bigger for me. This screen. Likelihood of 12 people from the same small environment, like a specific workplace or home, committing suicide in a short time by pure coincidence or mathematically near zero. Okay. Statistics. This is called an extreme outlier. While there isn't a single universal percentage of a cluster of exactly 12 people, we can look at the standard frequency, see how rare this is. The odds and frequency. 1 in 1,000 in a typical company of 1,000 employees, statistically average is only one suicide every 10 years. 1 to 2, only about 1 to 2 of all suicides occur as part of a cluster, multiple deaths in one area or time. Extremely rarity, large clusters of 10 plus people in a single workplace are so rare that they are almost never seen in national data without an extraordinary internal factor such as a major local crisis or extreme environmental toxicity. The reason why I said that is because they're saying this dude killed himself, and there's others that they're saying killed themselves, and they're all these scientists of this UAP information, and they're the specialists. They're the scientists specialists. They are the ones that know all this information, that are sworn to secrecy about what they've found in these landings and all this stuff, right? Okay, so let's see here. I just wanted to do that so maybe catch up to what I'm seeing, because this is the thing. They're telling us Charlie Kirk was shot by a 30-06 at 144 yards in the neck, and it didn't exit. I mean, okay, I know it's not the same, but it is, because our government lies to us about everything. Okay, so stand by.
This is just incredibly bizarre. Did actually appear on his website. 13,000 comments, as I said. And then there were other alterations made to an original image. This is another fascinating thing that came out. The original image is different in several respects. So let's go through those now, because this is very, very interesting. First of all, he had a small smile in the original that was made by AI that they eliminated in the version that he put on Truth Social. You can actually see that when you look at it up close and you zoom in. Everything is a little bit blurrier in the Truth Social version. It's a little bit cleaner. They probably blurred it out to make it look less like AI slop, as people call it. You can clearly see when you put them together side by side, his face is different. It's higher resolution. The nose is a little bit shorter from the top to the bottom. The face is a little bit wider and not as long. And there is a little bit more of a smile, a little bit of a smirk on his mouth that you don't see on the other one. Now, that would have had to have been done by photo manipulation. This is not something that just happened. This is something that had to have been done through image processing. So the image was clearly modified on purpose, and that includes the smile being different. You have blurring of detail on the Statue of Liberty as well. Very interestingly enough, you can see that here, that in the original Statue of Liberty, there's a very clear face with a crown around it that looks similar to the one. And in fact, you look at her crown and you see there's the same 3 spikes up on the top of the face. Look at that crown up close on the right there. There's those 3 spikes, the other 2 off to the side. They actually straightened it out on the left, didn't they? The spikes look more normal on the left than they do on the right. But the 3 spikes on the top of the head on the left is the same as what we saw right there, isn't it? Yep, there it is. It's the same thing. 3 spikes on the top, the torch, and the face. So they actually did this stuff. So their smile was removed. Again, so the detail on the statue is much less specific. The horns have been changed. But again, you can see the demon is the horns of the Statue of Liberty. This makes it really interesting. The time frame is really screwy. Thank you for your clarification. We all love you. Roger Zabarak, we're up to 27, almost 2,800 people. We are breaking our records here once again. Thank you guys all for showing up, and you're here at a great time for the show. We're getting into the real meat of what our topic is about. Moses and the Knights of Nay had that helmet, says Rob Hipsky. This is just finding the difference game. Well, there are differences. That's important, yeah. And then you look at the face, and again, she has that funny hood, almost like she's wearing a baseball cap or something. That's all been obscured on the one on the left. But again, very interesting. And then also, there's blurring of detail on the faces of the soldiers as well. The original soldier, he's clearly got eyes and a face. And then the other guy, you know, he's clearly got a hat that's defined on the right there, more like a swamp hat. And then in the other one, it looks more like a helmet. This has been heavily altered. The one on the left has been heavily altered. Statue of Liberty overlain. What the heck is going on here? And then as everybody goes crazy, he says, oh, I was just posing as a doctor. Well, yeah, okay. There's a woman with a nurse's outfit on the right, stethoscope, but then on the left is a woman praying. And doctors don't just, you know, have light coming out of their hands and then heal somebody. Now, did some power group slip this past him? Is that possible? Is it possible that the so-called demonic aspect of it was not something that he really noticed? You know, it's possible. Leanne Boudreau, the top middle character, looks like a soldier wearing armor in the artwork. Thank you for this wonderful presentation today, David. Sensing Uganda may be tuning in. Okay, interesting. Thank you for the donation, by the way. Let's see how we're doing on donation volume. Oh, we're doing really good. A total of $1,500 gross volume so far. That's great. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate that. Keep them coming, man. It's going to buy me more meat, so I have some fat on my face. And I love it. So anyway, thank you guys. So is there a power group that actually, you know, he didn't look at it carefully enough and they wanted to hide this in there, hide it out in the open? Was he distracted? Maybe. I don't know. Why in the world would you create an unforced, damaging mistake? Because again, this created considerable damage to the Christian base. Or, and again, I don't know the answer. We got to remember there is no solid answer to these questions yet. I'm just asking them. If you want to think that he did it on purpose, then the question would be why? Because it created so much political damage. Maybe he doesn't care. But like, what's up with the Statue of Liberty's crown being on the top of that thing? What's up with the torches being the wings of the demon? Why would the Alliance release that? Tell you that it's a demon? Why would they suggest he's the Antichrist, especially when he's been shot in the ear? So, and I have a very weird sympathetic wound here. I also got a tent pole through my ear, a pole that you used to set up a tent. Nice circular hole. That's one of the weird things that he and I have in common. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If I got the same mark that he does, am I part of this Antichrist thing too? And that caused me to really have to question everything. Like, what is going on here? Is he the Antichrist? Is this what, I mean, then what does that make me? I wrote books prophesizing that the Alliance is a good thing. They're going to do good things for the planet. Well, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I do believe that they're okay, and I believe we're fine, and I'll show you why in a little while. But anyway, this did create considerable damage to the base. The question might be, did he deliberately let this go for the greater good? And I want you to tell me now in the comments what you think is going on, because I'm not really sure. I mean, I have my suspicions, but, you know, I don't really know. So anyway.
Yeah, so the most important part about that is he's breaking down the two separate images. The original one was posted before months ago, and it was soldiers, three soldiers, and Statue of Liberty, and then he posted this new image last week or whatever, and it's got a demon with wings as one of the soldiers. The Statue of Liberty is faded out and it looks different. I mean, there's just so many things. His smirk that he had on his face in the first image was not there in the second one. He had more of a frown or a straight face in the other one. He's breaking this down and he's like, because people are saying, is Trump the Antichrist? Because of this photo. And why would he put this photo out? I mean, we know that Trump is the master of troll. He's he's like the master of trolling people. But this is kind of like very interesting because remember, if you go back to the globalist and the deep state, but mostly the globalists, when they're gonna, the Soros, what the fuck, I can't think of his name right now. When they're doing something to you, they tell you what they're about to do. You know that whole thing, and is Trump the Antichrist, right? So we know that the satanic cult people, I guess they're people, will tell you what they're doing before they do it because they have to tell you or else they can't do what they're going to do because it's some kind of some reason in the satanic cult that they have to tell you what they're about to do or what they're doing or what they've done or whatever. This is a long time succession of how they've done it for many, many years. And he's breaking this down, talking about this because it sounds and it looks like this was a message saying like, Antichrist or demons or and he's actually even said a couple times, one time for sure that I know of that, if you believe in God, you should be saved, but it's too late for me or something like that. Something to that effect. I don't know if you remember that, but anyway. So this next clip is David a while ago talking about the black magic part of this and why they killed him, why they possibly killed him because of the very outspoken. David Wilcock was very outspoken about his theory of the uniparty, the globalist, or whatever he's saying here, black magic.
One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Ultimately, the universe is intelligent, alive, and conscious, and it is benevolent. It is a benevolent consciousness. That consciousness does not allow the negative to succeed unless it is invited. So the cabal has made a science, a very elaborate science, out of studying these arcane, occult, magical principles that allow them to get away with what they do. So they have to put out everything that tells you who they are in music videos, in these Super Bowl halftime shows, the Grammy Awards ceremonies. They're out there showing you the truth. This is what people are going to have so much trouble with once disclosure happens, is that these people actually practice black magic, and they are very, very good at it.
Okay, so yeah, that was what I was saying. So yeah, so occult, cabal, satanic, black magic and all that stuff is, and so it takes me to this place where I'm wondering if the reason why they're killing these people is because of the messaging. They shot Trump in the ear, and there's the topic going around. It's went viral on X about being shot in the ear and how that makes you some kind of a god for whatever, Moloch or whatever it is. And I wish I would have pulled that clip. I probably do have it because I think I pulled it last week, but I'd never be able to find it with all the videos that I have and all the shows that I've done. But let's keep going. There's more. Black magic, though, right? So we know that we know that the transgender, the story time, the pedophiles in the libraries reading to kids on their lap, and all these different things that these pedophiles and all these cult members and they practice black magic rituals and programming and what's it called, brainwashing of your kids and all this stuff. This is what they do, right? And this is part of what I'm seeing as a pattern. I guess that's my point that I'm trying to make. This is going to be is that it? Let's see.
Crap. Wait till you read the whole thing, you guys. The USA will get nuclear dust created by our great B-2 bombers. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. Well, yeah, but they're going to get their own money back, which is huge. And we get the nuclear dust, which we can then turn around and actually sell for money. Maybe if we made peace with, the Russia-Ukraine thing, we'd sell it to Russia, whatever. But the point is, because they apparently need it, but both sides win. They get the money back. We don't have to pay for it. No money exchanges hands. They're just getting money back they already had. And it says this deal is in no way subject to Lebanon either, but the USA will separately work with them and deal with the Hezbollah situation in an appropriate manner. Why did he say Bula? Is that Baal? Is that what he's implying there? Is that a com? It could be. Bool, B-O-O-L, Baal, B-A-A-L. I don't know. Possible. But then, whoa, look at the next two lines. 3 lines. This is crazy. This is freaking crazy. All the people who think he's been bought out, all the people who think he's been controlled, all the people who, if the alliance is trying to throw him under the bus or say he's not anybody good, he's been compromised, he's been controlled, he's a puppet. Where the hell did this come from? This country will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. That is a very definitive statement. Or what? Or they are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Enough is enough. Now, David, I gotta say, son, a lot of the stuff you talk is really freaking crazy. It's flipping crazy. You really got a point on this one, son. The proof in the pudding is in the eating. And he actually said, you will not be doing this any longer. Enough is enough. He said that they are prohibiting them from doing it. That is freaking outrageous, boy. I have had it. Okay, wow. I mean, This is your best show in weeks. Love you, says Trisha Marr. Yeah, I decided we really got to get back into the alliance stuff. It's time. Got to engage. Why in the world did he post this thing of himself as Jesus and then deny it? Why in the world does it have the demon in it? Why did they point that out? It scares the heck out of me. They're calling him the Antichrist. Marjorie at least did. Is that true? Well, no. I mean, look at this. It couldn't be. He's stopping war from happening. He's stopping the violence from happening. He's actually saying you're prohibited from doing it. And remember, they said we saved them for last. That was in the posts. You know what I'm talking about. This very special thing that I got right here. Okay. Saving them for last. Is that what we're actually seeing? It could be. Is this still a Law of One show or is it a 17 show? Well, it's both. But again, this week, the news is so heavy on this one subject that I wanted it to be that. We are going to have some Law of One type of content coming up here. So just hang in there. If that's what you're looking for, you'll get it. Okay, anyway, they are prohibited from doing so. Well, prohibited is a very intense term, and it's in all capital letters, you guys. I mean, like, prohibited? They're prohibited from doing it by this country, by our country. You realize how heavy that is? You realize the strength of that wording? They will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. This is a massive, massive geopolitical event. And even if it's not Law of One, it is very much worthy of our consideration. This is not the kind of thing that you think he would be doing if he were the Antichrist. To be honest with you, you got to look at the results. Forget about speculation. We don't know why he did it. This is not something the Antichrist would want you to have everybody dying. They would want as much bombing as possible. They would want people being blown up. They would want death, dismemberment, organs all over the ground, scrambled eggs everywhere, just horrible stuff. That is not what this is. It's just the opposite. Give him some credit. You know, I mean, maybe this will make up for the fact that I tried to do a really bad accent version of his voice. I don't think you're supposed to do that. Oh my God. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's a good point, but they also they lie so much. You don't know what he's saying there, or because Israel basically don't listen anyway. I know I'm not supposed to say that. The blue and white. I'm not supposed to say. I guess the algorithm doesn't like it when you talk about the blue and white country. So I guess I'm not supposed to say that. I'm learning how to communicate on YouTube without getting bashed or hammered or blackballed or, you know, removed or, you know, whatever they do. I'm not supposed to cuss. I'm not supposed to talk about, you know, the blue and white country. I'm not supposed to talk about the pedo island specifically. I'm not supposed to say his name. There's just a bunch of things that they are not okay with, and we really got to work on you know, not saying those things so that we can, you know, not get shadow banned on YouTube like we are on X, because they've definitely throttled us. And if you're here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so now. Really do appreciate it. Your help with getting this information out to the world is greatly appreciated. And how you do that is you just, you know, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, you know, go to the description and check out My Patriot Supply under the code and buy some restorable food or whatever, and or a generator, or, you know, water treatment, water system, excuse me, Alexa Pro water filter, because who knows when we're going to need it if they start bombing. You know, who knows what's next, but your support is greatly appreciated. I just want to say that. And you know, share this everywhere, share all this information everywhere. We got one more. This is a breakdown of what we've been going over. It's the last clip for this segment. Stand by.
Out of the 12 scientists or UFO researchers that are dead or missing, this David Wilcock story is actually really sad. He was a good man. I'm going through a lot of his YouTubes. Did you know he had over 500,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel? He was making an impact to millions of people. He posted this a few days ago. Do you guys think he's really suicidal? I'm going to play a few clips to where you can decide for yourself.
Frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary. I got to say, it's a little bit scary, but you guys knew that I might still show up even though it was last minute and I've had a really rough week. Like, you know, that's kind of like every week, but somehow we keep on making it through all of this. I really wish there were other influencers out there doing global meditations, but right now it seems like I'm the only one. And so we gotta keep on track, you guys. I need other people out there doing this for me because I don't want to be a single point failure. If anything ever happened to me, God forbid, you know, we don't want that to happen, but I want other people to be doing this as well, not just me. I have the authority to lay it down and the authority to take it up again. This commandment I received from my Father because he's an ascended being. Again, most of us can't do this. You don't get to resurrect. If you lay down your life, you're done. So please don't do that. Please don't be stupid. Okay, it's something you never want to have to go through. And again, you know, natural is the only way to go.
And with this clip you're about to see, you think he was on their radar?
One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Ultimately, the universe is intelligent, alive, and conscious, and it is benevolent. It is a benevolent consciousness. That consciousness does not allow the negative to succeed unless it is invited. So the cabal has made a science, a very elaborate science, out of studying these arcane, occult, magical principles that allow them to get away with what they do. So they have to put out everything that tells you who they are in music videos, in these Super Bowl halftime shows, the Grammy Awards ceremonies. They're out there showing you the truth. This is what people are going to have so much trouble with once disclosure happens, is that these people actually practice black magic, and they are very, very good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know right there. It's crazy. So crazy, man. It's wild, man. So they're killing scientists because they can. They are banishing people on trails. They're just walking on the trail, you know, doing a little hike with their husband, just vanished, missing. Or they find some scientist face down in a pond, or, you know, another scientist was found, allegedly found in their Tesla, burn up crisp. I mean, this is what they do, right? So anyway, thank you for being here. I'll be back tomorrow night. I'll also be back Sunday night. Sunday night at 7, tomorrow at 9. I'll be here at 9 Pacific Standard Time. Please join us. You know, we're going to get back. We're going to get into some stuff. Think I'm going to crack the Epstein files again and start digging into that. It's time to get into that, and yeah, we'll get it. We're going to get into some of that tomorrow. God bless you all. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. You guys are so kind to be here and hang out with me on Friday night. Well, what can I say? Be good to your children, and, you know, be good to your wives and your husbands, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.